Hi guys, welcome or welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Altar Curated. And today's topic is going to be the self-energy in internal family systems modality. Internal family systems is a modality of therapy in which they teach you how to access parts of yourself that are emerging in different contexts and dynamics. And they also teach you how to access and talk to the parts of yourself which are eternally connected, like self energy. So, today we're going to be particularly focusing on an aspect of IFS, which is called self energy. It is the compassionate essence of a person characterized by calm curiosity and confidence. It is the mindful, non judgmental presence that heals the wounded parts rather than acting from them. Activating the state, often via breathwork or reflection, promotes self leadership and emotional balance. Self energy is marked by specific qualities that help differentiate it from internal wounded parts of ourselves. So, wounded parts of ourselves could be the protector, the people pleaser, the person who outsources wisdom, the seeker, the alchemist. So there are several parts of ourselves, and we can do paths work by allowing these parts to emerge and kind of considering their needs and negotiating their needs with what our conscious desires are. And self energy is marked by specific qualities that separate it from the wounded parts of ourselves. It has the 8 C's called calmness, curiosity, compassion, confidence, clarity, creativity, courage, and connectedness. And the 5 P's: patience, presence, perspective, persistence, and playfulness. And you can access self energy by whatever creative pursuits you'd like to do as a child, and like whatever you're drawn to, whatever your essence is fundamentally like drawn towards, like an intuitive knowing, a spiritually informed understanding of what your internal compass is guiding you towards and what your desires are pulling you toward. And also you can access the self energy by noticing breathing, focusing on the breath and bodily sensations within a calm, collected space and environment. Unblending, actively separating from protective parts of ourselves like anxiety or anger or parts that are trying to get our needs met, and allowing the self to emerge. You can use this by going into meditation and doing a practice like imagine the protector part of yourself who's like just protecting you from pain, and imagine the part of yourself who's just trying to get their needs met, and imagine a part of yourself with the conscious desires that you have. And now imagine the fourth part of yourself, which is kind of mitigating and talking to all of these parts of you who are just trying to get a certain need met. So the self energy mitigates all these 3 parts of you and kind of allows them to step back and take the lead as the forefront of your mind, to allow you to feel compassion, clarity, presence, and you can reflect on those moments of peace, safety, and compassion, and be here and now in the present without an agenda to change or fix anything. Parts are sub-personalities with specific emotions, roles, or agendas, like managing or self-regulation or pleasing or pain or wounded parts. Self-energy is the calm center observing these parts without being overwhelmed by them. When the blended or identified parts are there, the self-energy is unavailable, resulting in reactionary feelings like frustration or fear. The benefits of tapping back into self-energy is increased inner peace, reduced inner conflict, improved capacity for self-compassion and understanding, better ability to relate to others without being overwhelmed by their emotions, and regular practice of mindfulness and engaging in therapy can strengthen one's access to this state. And I'm also working with my therapist to work on cell modalities. And cell is basically social and emotional learning. It is defined by a set of core competencies, and they serve as the foundation for developing healthy identities, etc. So the 5 core competencies of the self framework are self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision making. So there are structured lessons on specific skills. There's academic integration, there's environment and culture, there's support practices, and it's a principle aimed at building equitable and caring communities, including a focus on equity, empathy, and personal agency. And their values stand on building community and fostering long-term peer support groups to adapt to care and kind of practice the healed versions of ourselves, or practice the best parts of ourselves in communion, in community, in interpersonal relationships. So I was reflecting on how connected and passionate and clarity and self-assured I used to feel in the past, and I wrote this journal entry that I'd like to share with you guys again. It's like I said something like, I've been so disconnected from the truth of my being. I feel like my passion and creative juices died down and were dulled out by the endless days of monotony, just distracting myself every day, going through the motions in an apathetic, lukewarm state. And now the only thing that makes me feel alive anymore is the rush of external validation, which has never been me because I'm disconnected from the very things that feel like truth in my bones. I'm deeply passionate, compassionate, creative, clear-headed, eternally connected to myself, curious and calm. I'm a person on my best days who is content in a solitude. But after so much of nothingness and sleepwalking through life, that self has been distorted and locked in the back rooms. And I don't have the key to open that door and let her out. I began feeling like a stranger to myself. I used to be so passionate, so driven, so deeply delusional and ambitious, unapologetic and confident. I'm trying to access that space since 2 years. With that level of self-assurance and confidence was my baseline. It was my predominant mood throughout the weeks or even months. I feel like the key to doing that has been to learn or immerse myself in a creative practice. Yes, but something is missing. And what was missing was self-intimacy, self-connection, and allowing the fearful, anxiety driven or angry parts of myself to dissipate, and allowing myself to access more self energy and slowing down, slow maxing, vessel maxing, aura maxing, all of these things. So here are some prompts I'd like to give you to help you access self energy. The first prompt is, what am I longing to express through words, art, choices, or change? The second prompt is, what have I been afraid to say out loud and why? The third prompt is, what parts of me come alive when I feel safe to express myself? And the fourth prompt is, when did I first realize I was shrinking myself? And the fifth prompt is, what part of me has been pretending to be okay? And I'll let you sit with these prompts, marinate in them for a bit. You can write down your answers or reflect on them briefly after this YouTube video privately. And what made me feel alive again was truly slowing down, reflecting, and fostering a deep connection to myself beyond just the identity of trauma and pain. I know I make self-deprecating jokes. I kind of have a social media presence that's very distinct. I'm tired of the thing that I do is like make self-deprecating jokes on social media and kind of hold myself to an impossible standard and stuff like that. And I do curate and edit and modify myself a bit to present myself a certain way, and I'm very honest about that. So I never want anybody to compare themselves to me and feel like, oh, I'm inadequate because of how she presents herself. But I do feel like I've been so disconnected, in all honesty. And if I were to marinate on these prompts and reflect on them in my own time, the answers I came up with were surprising to even myself. And I try to pride myself on having a self-awareness level that is much higher than most. So I'd be aware of something, but if I'm reflecting on something and the answers are like shocking to me, I'm like, whoa, I didn't know that. I didn't expect that to come out of me, to come out of myself. So I've been feeling an awful like an awful lot like I'm a stranger to myself, or I'm like disconnected to myself. And that's gonna change very, very soon, because the present moment is here for the taking. It is here for you to immerse yourself in it. It is here for you to preserve your nurturing juices in it. It is delicious, it is juicy, it is